This explanation stunned the aviation world.
All of the pilots that I've spoken to think it's ridiculous.
They don't have one witness who saw that. They don't have one piece of physical evidence that indicates that.
When the nose left the aircraft, the center of gravity moved aft of the center of lift. Now you've got both parties of the teeter-totter on the same side pulling down and the center of lift pulling up. That torque would rotate the aircraft so fast that it would go through a stall in 2 or 3 seconds and would not have any opportunity to climb.
Once it goes beyond about 20 degrees nose up, it can't fly anymore because these wings are no longer into the wind. They can't produce lift. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been in effect at least since Newton's time. It's called gravity, okay? This 333 tons are going to still, less the nose, are going to still be there. And everything there, from the time the airplane quits flying, is going down.
When that aircraft was hit, it immediately began falling. It fell like a stone. It came right out of the sky, from the first explosion to the second explosion to the third, possibly fourth, and the petrochemical explosion. It was going down. From the first moment of the first explosion, it was going down. It never climbed.
So the law of conservation energy says that you use kinetic energy, and that's the speed you have already, and you convert that to altitude, but there's a price. The price you pay is you slow down. It's like when you ride a bike up a hill. At the top of the hill, you're going pretty slow. You know, you used your energy up. Well, the radar data showed the plane did not slow down. If it didn't slow down, it didn't climb. If it didn't climb, the witnesses didn't see the plane climb, they saw something else.
As to the manufacturers of the 747, consider their response to the CIA animation. Boeing was not involved in the production of the video shown today, nor have we had the opportunity to obtain a copy or fully understand the data used to create it. The video's explanation of the eyewitness observations can be best assessed by the eyewitnesses themselves. How did those witnesses feel about the CIA animation?
That's what we call, or I call, a cartoon. It is totally ludicrous.
That bore no resemblance whatsoever to what I saw. Nobody said, is this what you saw? Did they show me the mug book? No. Because if they asked me, it didn't resemble it in any way.
When I first saw the CIA animation, I assumed that they had used it as a story just to pacify the general public, because it didn't represent what I had testified to the agent as to what I saw out here.
Mike Wire's denial is the most troubling, especially since the CIA based much of its analysis on his testimony. Said the CIA of Wire, in his original description, he thought he had seen a firework, and perhaps that firework had originated on the beach behind the house. But if Wire had seen something come up from behind the house, what he saw could not have been Flight 800. The CIA had to rewrite his story.
So they allegedly picked up the phone, did call the FBI. The FBI says it called Mike Wire, and that Mike Wire said, boy, stupid me. I've been lying to you guys. I had a bad memory back then, but now I have a great memory now. Yeah, I didn't see it until it was about 20 degrees in the sky. And the FBI is alleged to have called this back in. And the CIA goes, oh my God, that's perfect. 20 degrees in the sky is exactly where Flight 800 met its demise, from ground up 20 degrees off the horizon. They never called.
They called me one time after the early interviews, but when I called back to respond to them, I got a publishing house in New York, and I just thought maybe it was some kind of newspaper reporters had got my name and were just out to get an interview, so I declined to call them back.
Here is how the CIA animation portrayed Mike Wire's altered testimony. Note how the ascent from the beach has disappeared.
A fourth eyewitness reported that he watched a white light, perhaps a firework, traveling upward at a steep angle with respect to the horizon. The light zigzagged as it rose, and at the apex of its travel arched over and disappeared. This observation lasted about 15 seconds. 2 or 3 seconds later, a fireball appeared in the sky near where the white light had disappeared. The eyewitness was able to specify a landmark over which the white light first appeared, a house near the beach, and a second house behind which the descending fireball disappeared. FBI investigators determined precisely where the eyewitness was standing and then measured the line of sight angle between the eyewitness and each of the two houses. Calculations based on the flight path of Flight 800 with respect to this eyewitness show that when the aircraft exploded, it was just passing over the house above which the white light first appeared. So the white light the eyewitness saw very likely was the aircraft briefly ascending and arching over after it exploded, rather than a missile attacking the aircraft.
The government never put him on Beach Lane Bridge. We put him on Beach Lane Bridge. It's okay, Mike. Using those houses, you show us where the initiating event occurred.
Here is what Mike Wire actually saw.
And I saw what looked like cheap fireworks leaving the beach behind this flat-roofed house. It went out on an angle, and then it turned and went out to sea. Now, as it was flying, it wavered back and forth and up and down. And I thought it must be cheap fireworks because it didn't go like a fireworks would straight away. It kind of wavered as it was in flight. It had a white glow to it and like a white plume, little white plume behind it. Went out to sea and it arced over and then disappeared. And after it disappeared, then a big orange fireball erupted in the sky.
The CIA never talked to Mike Wire. In fact, the CIA talked to no eyewitnesses. The agency reached its startling conclusion after reviewing only about 12% of the FBI's summaries, many of these hasty and slapdash in the first place. At the NTSB, the job of discrediting eyewitnesses fell to Dr. David Mayer.
As you well know, the work of the board is conducted under the party process. So if we interview an eyewitness, we would form a group, and the group would interview the witness.
And who
Please note the words if and would in the following clarification by Mayer's boss, Dr. Bernard Loeb.
in this particular case, some of these witnesses we did not get to because the FBI initially interviewed them, so that is a slight difference.
Some of the witnesses they did not get to? Of the 736 official witnesses, the NTSB did not interview a single civilian witness and talked to only a handful of military in 1997. Like the CIA, the NTSB had no apparent interest in hearing what the witnesses had to say.
Well, is it your conclusion that the witnesses said they saw a streak of light, didn't see a streak of light at all?
That's an important question, and
that's that gentleman. Let's leave him alone. But sir, if one more outburst, and we're going to ask you to be removed from the room.
I yelled out during the last hearing. I said, "Ask the eyewitnesses." They had someone, a representative from the National Transportation Safety Board, review the written summaries of FBI agents who interviewed witnesses years ago. You know, and then Chairman Hall was asking this person who read the notes of someone who interviewed someone a few years ago what that person he interviewed might have saw. You know, why didn't they call the person? Why didn't they call the witness? I don't know.
Many of the witnesses submitted drawings to the FBI chilling enough to impress even Dr. Mayer, like this one.
Witness 649 described events that certainly do sound like a missile attacking the airplane. And in fact,
Dr. Mayer dismissed 649's testimony for one reason only.
He said that everything he saw occurred between these two flagpoles. His location is up there marked school. He was actually exercising at a high school in the area. So again, it doesn't appear that this witness was looking in the right location to see Flight 800 at the spot where it would have been when it would have been struck by a hypothetical missile. So
one problem. In none of the FBI notes does witness 649 ever mention a flagpole, let alone two flagpoles. In his line of sight seen here, there weren't any.